video that is a snippet of the video with a synced transcript, that is words on the transcript that we created for this particular hearing, have you not, Detective
Yes.
Stone? And does the transcript on that video fairly and accurately depict the words that you can hear on the helmet cam?
Yes, it does.
All right. Your Honor, I would move at this time 9A, B, and C, which are the Perez helmet cam video. A is the one without a transcript, B is the one with a synced transcript, and C is the one that's in slow motion.
Any objection?
I just need to confer with counsel.
Okay.
So the objection, at least preliminarily, is that what we were given does not include a transcript, so I can't identify whether the transcript that's being sought to be admitted into evidence is in fact the one we were actually given. So all we have are discs under exhibit label number 9. We just have 2 discs, we don't have a transcript.
Right, the disc has the video with the transcript imposed on the video.
I have 3 discs, counsel, that up here, and one of them, I think 9B, states helmet with cam transcript. Is that what you have?
I do have that, Your Honor.
Okay. Is there any objection to these exhibits being admitted?
The concern that we have, again, this is based on my recollection of what this particular transcript actually shows, is that it's more than just a transcript. It is essentially, I would characterize it as a screenplay. It has statements as to what's occurring. So it's not a transcript in the traditional sense, just the words that are being spoken, but identifying what's occurring along the way, which is not a transcript.
I concur, and that's my concern about this particular exhibit. I guess that one is B? 9B, right? 9B, and that's my big concern, is that it's not just the words that are spoken that you can hear, it's more than that.
Judge, the only thing that is a description, I think, on that entire transcript is, in parentheses, it says picking up belongings. That's the only thing, when he is picking up his belongings of the transcript. That's the only part in there that I think is a description rather than the transcript itself.
Well, let me ask counsel, first of all, is there an objection to 9A and 9C?
No, with regard to the 9A and 9C. There's a continuing objection to 9B.
Okay, I understand your...
The 9A and 9C are not a problem. That's just what we've actually, we've already seen this, but yes, 9A and 9B.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to admit states 9A and 9C. I'm going to reserve ruling on 9B because I'm a little concerned the defense is saying that there's more than just a transcript, and perhaps, I don't know, if maybe all of you can work it out, or if you want me to just conditionally take a look at this and decide whether it comes in or not.
That might be the best thing to do, Judge. And again, if the defense can point out any other part other than that one little thing in parentheses that says picking up belongings, I think all the rest of it is just words, and that's why we had Detective Stone go through it to make sure that it was accurate and accurately reflected the words that you can hear on the tape.
Okay, but 9A and 9C will be admitted.
All right. And then also, you collected the Scott Weimerskirch tape recording as well, from his camera?
That was collected by criminalistics detectives when he was processed.
All right. And, Your Honor, I would move Exhibit 10, which is the Scott Weimerskirch. I call it a tape. That shows my old-fashioned nature. The digital recording, I think, is what it really is.
Any objection to 10?
Assuming, because I certainly can't see the files on the disk, that it constitutes all 3 of Scott Weimerskirch's taser camera video digital files.
I don't think it is that, Judge. I think it's just the encounter itself. It's just the tape of what happens at the time of the shooting.
I would like all 3 of them. It came off the same thing. They're just broken up. It's the same tape. They just broke it up so that they can download them, I believe, or whatever it is. But the point being, I think they should all, if part of it comes in, the whole thing should come in.
Well, Judge, what I would say is if the defense wants to offer it, they certainly can, but that's the part of the transcript that we're willing to offer as the
So
state.
my understanding is 10 is just a portion of this?
It's the portion that involves the shooting, Judge.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and admit State's Exhibit 10 at this time over objection.
All right. Just a couple more questions, Detective Stone. One of the questions that I think Mr. Robles asked you is whether the evidence you collected contradicted or didn't contradict Officer McDaniel. Did Officer McDaniel admit that he and Officer Hernandez pulled their guns out before James Boyd pulled out any knives?
Yes.
And did he admit, or does the tape show that they pulled out their guns within 11 seconds of meeting Mr. Boyd?
Yes.
Okay. This request that Mr. Robles asked you about for CNT, that is the higher level crisis negotiation team at 5:24 p.m., a higher level crisis negotiation team was never sent and never arrived before
No.
Mr. Boyd was shot. Is that right? Okay.
That's correct.
And then I think Mr. Robles also asked you, there's no evidence that Officer Sandy was involved in the decision to withdraw the field officers. And I think Mr. Bregman read this part on page 9, line 5. Officer Sandy says in the statement you took of him, the words, "We decided to withdraw the field officers," doesn't he?
Can I go back and look at it?
Oops, yes, sir. Page 9, line 5.
It does say on line 11, towards the end there, we decide because of the position, because of the downhill grade, where they're at, it's not safe for them.
Okay. If I can check just a second, Judge. That's all the questions I have, Judge.
All right, Detective Stone, we're going to let you leave today, but you will remain under subpoena of the court, and I would also admonish you or instruct you, please do not discuss this case with anyone.
You got it, Judge.
State, you want to call your next witness?
Just a part as a question.
Yes, sir.
I know that the detective's about to leave the courtroom, but there seems to be a lot of evidence that's not been introduced, it's physical evidence that's been pulled out of bags and things like that, that I just want to know what kind of custody you're
Detective
going to
Stone,
keep that in.
can you stay here just for a second? Judge, what I'm going to do is ask that Detective Stone come back, either that we lock it up or that Detective Stone come back and get it. If the defense would like to use any of this in their case, we can lock it up here with the court again like we did last night. If not, we can have Detective Stone take this back with him. What is the court's preference?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. All right.
Either, if it's safe with Detective Stone, that's fine. If you want to have it locked up somewhere here in the court, we can do that.
Okay, I would, it's just whether the defense wants to use it or not, I guess. If they don't want to use it, we'll have them take it back.
Why don't we, I think if there's always a possibility that someone may want to use something, why don't we have it locked up here?
All right, Judge.
Okay.
We sure will. Thanks. Okay.
Is that okay, Ruth?
Did it last night.
Your Honor, we would call Jennifer Bean to the stand.
There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of law that the testimony that you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please be seated.
There's not a lot of room for you.
Okay. I don't know if I'm supposed to look at that.
Hold on a second. I'm going to close that. Okay. This is just the last bit.
Oh.
Good afternoon, Ms. Bean. Can you introduce yourself to the court, please?
Sure. My legal name is Jennifer Bean Alverson, but I go by Jennifer Bean.
Okay, and why is that?
Because my business name is Bean and Associates, has been since 1981.
What is your business?
We're certified court reporters in
Okay.
the state of New Mexico.
In that capacity, were you asked to help in coming up with an accurate transcript from the various tapes of the James Boyd shooting?
But it wasn't quite like that. I didn't know there was various tapes when I first signed on to this.
Right.
There was one 6-minute tape that I was asked to transcribe, so I did.
Okay. Have you had experience in creating transcripts from similar types of things?
Quite often through my almost 40 years doing this, yes. This is the first time I've ever had 2 tapes to sort of stitch together. I don't know what the right word is, but listen to both of them.
All right. The more audio sources that are available, if they're taken from different directions, is it true the more accurate the transcript can be?
You'd hope so, yes. Certainly. I'm sorry.
Sustained. Let's stay away from leading
All
questions,
right.
please.
Would you prefer to have as many sources as possible to create an accurate transcript?
Sure.
And can you take the court through the process of what you started with and how you tried to come up with an accurate transcript in this case?
I had, as I said, a digital file that was 6 minutes long. It had the video also with it. And so initially when I ever sit down to do a transcript from whether it's a tape or a digital thing, I initially write it on my steno machine, the first pass, and then I'll listen to it again and review it, add things manually in the typing on the laptop. This particular one, even though it was 6 minutes long, took me at least 3.5 hours of listening to it over and over and over again.
Okay, why did you take so much time to try to do the transcript in this case?
Well, number one, I'm a perfectionist, but
All right.
I really did think that I really wanted to give it my best shot, and I understood that it's a case that everybody really needs it to be as perfect as possible. So I listened to it probably 50 times easy.
All right. And then, were you ever given a tape that was had an enhanced audio portion of that particular video?
Yes, that helped a lot.
All right. And then what effort did you put into creating a transcript from that enhanced tape?
Oh, all I did was bring up the same file on the screen and then augment it as necessary as I heard other things that weren't as audible before. In the first transcript, or my first pass, I would put inaudible.
Right.
In parentheses, that's what all court reporters do if they can't hear it. Periodically we'll put indiscernible, which means, there's something there, but you can't tell what word it is. It's a little bit nuanced, but.
Okay, and were you able to hear additional words from the enhanced audio portion of the video?
Yes.
And did you then add those to the transcript?
Yes.
Did it happen that there was another source of what went on up there that you were able to obtain?
Yes.
And can you tell the court about that, please?
We were made aware, I was made aware through my office manager, Dusty Brown, that I think it was Kevin, not Kevin, Mike?
Mike?
Oh.
Mike, somebody in my
Somebody
office.
named Mike, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, had contacted her and said that there was, in fact, another audio version. This one I don't believe, no, I didn't see a video with this one. This was just strictly audio.
All right. And were you provided with that audio version, and were you told that it was from Scott Weimerskirch's audio?
Yeah, I was told that, and it was pretty obvious because he was the one giving the dog commands.
All right. And did that help you add even more words to the transcript?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of dog commands.
All right.
That I hadn't heard in the other.
Okay. Did you add what you could hear on that tape to the transcript that you created?
Yes.
Let me hand you what's been marked as states 11. Well, and let me ask you, how much time total do you think you spent trying to create an accurate transcript?
I stopped keeping track, but I think probably 10 hours maybe total throughout this period of time.
For 6 minutes of,
Well, 6 minutes plus the other one that was very short.
okay. Let me catch up in Marcus States Exhibit 11. Is that the transcript that you created from the different sources that you heard?
I assume it is. I did bring my bound version, but
If you prefer to have the bound version, Judge, in evidence, I'll leave that
it
as
says
fine.
original on it and all that jazz if you want it.
Okay, I'll take, good, I'll rather have that one. Let's do
Okay.
it. All right, Lee, mark yours as Exhibit 11,
And I also brought copies for
for the court's exhibit, okay. All right,
And that's one, there's another.
all right, great, thank you very much.
Sure.
Let me take this back for a second. I want to ask you about some of the ways that you did this transcript. In the transcript that you created, you have things that are not words in the transcript. If you can turn to the standard practice for court reporters to describe when you're transcribing a video what's happening?
To be honest, I don't know that I've ever transcribed a video of something like this. It's usually a videotaped deposition.
All right. And so why did you insert these sort of things that are happening, taser launched, flashbang thrown, dog approaches off leash? Why did you insert those things in this particular video?
Probably just to help the reader or help the jury, because my understanding this was going to be something that was then passed to the defense. They were going to say, yes, that's who said it and whatever, and if they didn't agree who said it, I would leave it to be unidentified speaker.
Okay.
But my experience in federal court, I've worked there for 18 years, is when you're listening to a video or an audio, it's helpful for the jury to have something to read along with. And so it just helps them find what portion they're in.
Oh, find what portion they're in on the video?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was not suggested by our office that you put in insert picking up belongings or taser launched or any of that stuff, right?
No, I just thought it was for ease of operation in court.
Okay, and I want to,
And I could take them out if you want.
well, all right, okay, but page three, when, despite all the different sources, you could not tell what the words were, what did you put in here?
Indiscernible on that particular instance.
All right, and let me go to page 3, line 13. After the shots are fired, Officer Weimerskirch says 2 words there after the shots are fired. Were you able to tell that there were 2 words being said?
What it sounded to me was foodat, and I don't think those are words, so
All right.
I put indiscernible.
Okay, so you can hear sounds,
Something, yeah.
but you couldn't tell what the words were.
Right.
And so if you can't tell what the words were, that's how you put it down as a court reporter. Is that
Right.
Okay. You're on-
Differentiated from inaudible. If you
Okay.
can't hear,
At all.
you know there's something happening, but you can't hear what it is.
All right, Your Honor, I'd move State's Exhibit 11.
Can I have word just for just a couple of questions?
Go ahead.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Just a couple of questions. You just, I think, testified that you've never put anything like this is happening visually or this is happening visually in a transcript before, right?
Well, that's not totally correct. I mean, if somebody gestures or something that, in court or in a deposition that seems like it matters, I would put gesturing. In fact, I did it just the other day.
In a deposition, but
Yeah.
that's very different than the task that you had today, or the task to produce this, right? In the sense that you're watching video of something that was not, you were not at, right?
Of course not.
All right. And so you've never done something like this, I think is what you just said, where you're watching something and trying to put markers in there for where people can follow along, right?
Actually, let me clarify that. I'm thinking about it as we're sitting here. In some times I've done videotaped transcripts. For instance, if it's a statement of a witness or something, and somebody walks in the door or somebody interrupts it, I would put something like that in.
Right. But nothing like this.
I don't know for sure, no. I don't think so.
Okay. And it wouldn't take anything to take all those out, right?
No.
Okay. That's number one. And then number two, when you did something like that, did you first, I think you just described, you took a first run at it.
Yeah,
And you couldn't understand a lot of the words, you couldn't understand a lot of it the first time you heard it, right?
I wouldn't say a lot, I understood a lot.
But you didn't know who said what right off the bat, did you?
Other than Mr. Boyd, it was pretty obvious because I could see his mouth moving. The other people, they're backward to me, so no, I didn't know.
So who told you which name to put by any of these on this?
As you'll note, on the very first page of this, I put suggested speaker identifications. And that was suggested by Randy's office, and with the understanding that you guys would have input in it, that's what I thought, and say yay or nay, it was that person that said that.
So is it fair to say that you do not know for a fact that which person said which thing? This is just based on what Ms. McGinn's office told you who each voice is supposed to be?
No, it was very clear when Mr. Boyd was speaking.
Mr. Boyd, fair enough. But how about the officers, the individual
And
officers?
then Weimerskirch, sorry, I know I was going to butcher that one. I've taken his testimony before in federal court, and so I actually did recognize his voice once I was able to hear his tape. And I did know that that was him saying those things.
So how about Officer Paris?
Based on the fact that the first pass I had was his camera, whatever, I don't know where it was placed, it was more likely than not, sometimes it was him, but I wouldn't swear that it was him.
Right, and you wouldn't swear that when you put down that Officer Sandy said something, you wouldn't swear under oath that it was him for sure, would you?
No, of course not. I couldn't see their mouths moving.
So much of this transcript is based on transcription of voices but not seeing their mouths moving.